U.S. Speaker of the House of Representatives Nancy Pelosi met with Ukraine's president during a visit to the country's embattled capital. Marcus Moore has the latest on what was accomplished.
Overnight, Ukrainian President Zelensky releasing a video of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and a congressional delegation making an unannounced visit to Ukraine.
Nice to meet you.
The delegation meeting with Zelensky in Kyiv on Saturday. Pelosi pledging America's support and saying more U.S. aid is on the way.
Our commitment is to be there for you until the fight is done.
This as Zelensky pleads for continued U.S. military equipment. The delegation now in neighboring Poland.
It has traveled here to send a clear message to the world. America stands with Ukraine. We stand with Ukraine until victory is won.
In Ukraine, the bitter fight continues. U.S. officials made a plea to Americans to avoid going to Ukraine after former U.S. Marine Willie Joseph Cancel was killed. Despite the plea, Angelina Jolie making her own surprise visit to the country, meeting medical staff and children in Lviv caught up in the missile strikes. Blaring air raid sirens interrupted her visit, Jolie rushing out for safety. But brief glimmers of hope emerging from the war-ravaged city of Mariupol. 20 civilians trapped in the besieged steel plant able to evacuate during a ceasefire. These graphic images showing some of the estimated 3,000 civilians and soldiers sheltering in underground bunkers nearby, some suffering with open wounds, barely any food or much-needed medical supplies. If you will not stop this here in Ukraine, he warns, it will go farther to Europe. Calling for the evacuation of their loved ones, relatives of those trapped in the steel plant rallying in Kyiv. Victoria Krasovska losing her husband in the war last month, making sure his friends are able to see their family once more.
The world must not be silent when a great tragedy unfolds before its eyes.
And back to that high-level meeting over the weekend here in Ukraine, the meeting part symbolic and part strategic. The U.S. pledging more military aid to Ukraine as this war continues into its 67th day. Marcus Moore, ABC News, Kyiv.
Hundreds of people gathered in Canada's capital on Saturday to welcome motorcyclists taking part in a protest this weekend. The bikers speaking out against government overreach, the convoy being called Rolling Thunder Ottawa. Organizers say it's being held in support of freedom and military veterans, but according to local media, several of the participants are demonstrating against the vaccine mandate for truckers who drive across the border. Opening ceremonies were peaceful. Ottawa police said they did arrest several people, though, on Friday after a march by hundreds of bikers.